This program is brought to you by the Genesis Communications Network, a world leader in talk radio since 1998. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Broadcasting and streaming live all across America. This is Home Talk USA with Michael King, where we will discuss topics pertaining to your home with industry-leading experts. Michael King is a licensed general contractor with more than 30 years of experience in home improvements and the author of Contracting with the King. Join us this hour for our segment Invent America with your co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton. Discover what's next in the home improvement industry and explore new products and innovations. Or if you have that next great big idea, learn what it takes to bring your invention to the world. As Michael King and Rita Crompton talk to America's inventors and innovators. Remember, the America of tomorrow is being invented today. We invite you to visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, we proudly present Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor, Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yay! Welcome, America! I want to welcome all of the Home Talk USA radio audience that's now jumping over to this hour as we talk to inventors all across the USA, along with my co-host, the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Again, we want to welcome all of you. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. Also, I want to thank all of the tweets and all of the emails that's been responding to our segment, the Invent America Show, which is part of the Home Talk USA family now. You'll want to know also when we are live, when I'm behind the famous Golden Hammer microphone along with my co-hosts. It's basically at 4 o'clock Central Time every Saturday on the Genesis Communication Radio Network with all our 61 radio affiliates all across the country. That's when we live. That's when we are here in the studio. Now, this show is broadcast at different times by different radio stations across America at different times. But you can also go to our archive page at HomeTalkUSA.com where we download the show. So it's always available to you 24/7, 365. You can also catch it on the Inventor Lady's website. And if you want to catch the archives. So there's a whole bunch of ways to catch the show. All right, I got that business out the way, and now I'd like to welcome my sidekick, the Inventor Lady herself, Miss Rita Crompton. Hey, Miss Rita, how you doing?
I am fine, Michael, and it is so fun to be here. I want to add just a little bit. It is amazing to me how often, because I watch my phone on Saturday afternoon, someone will call me, and I'll say, how did you hear about me? They're like, I'm listening to you on the radio right now. So it is really fun when it's like, we're reaching out and really touching all of those inventors out there who just aren't sure what to do next, and we can give them that inspiration to take the next right step.
Well, what I want to also mention, Rita, is that, due to apps and on-demand and social media, this show is available 24/7, 365. So if you have to listen to us through the online streaming services, you really need to go down to your local radio station. And you want to really jump on them. And why they're not carrying this show?
That's right.
It's like, okay, it's all about education, information. That's what we do here. But you need to really put a strong local presence and say, hey, we got to contact the Genesis Communication Radio Network, and we got to get the Invent America show on, because it's just a good show. It's a lot of education, information, and I love this show topic. You're going to be talking about that first prototype, which is it sets the stage to everything that we're talking about, right?
Well, that's not yes, it does. It sets the stage. But what we're talking about today is, that hard topic for inventors. It's like, where's the money?
Yeah.
And so, I get the inventors will call me up and they'll say, well, I want to get an angel investor. How do I do that? It's like, that's kind of an oxymoron. Those don't really exist anymore. And it's like, so what can we do? Where can I go to get funding? Funding for inventors is a really tricky animal. And so we're going to have a couple of different shows about that. Another big question is like, well, I'm going to get teed up and I'm going to go on Shark Tank. It's like, might not want to do that, Doesn't matter how expensive that suit is, the shark is still going to eat you. So what we're looking at today is, what are some of those basic options? Inventor, angel investor, maybe not. You might want to look back at those 3 F's. And the 3 F stands for friends, families, and other fools.
Yeah, other fools. That's right. But you know what? I could tell you, it's like buying a $5 stock. If you buy a $5, I call it penny stocks, but it's a $5 stock is what I call it. Every now and then, if you invest in a $5 stock, you're not going to go bankrupt. You're not going to jump off the cliff,
Yep.
But man, Rita, some of these $5 stocks actually hit. And boy, if you can get one to hit, it could financially secure you for the rest of your life, especially if you have a good license deal,
Absolutely. And so what we're looking at, you look at it from kind of two sides. Are you the inventor or the investor? And so, investors are looking for certain things, and that's what we want to kind of talk about today. Is like, so if you approach someone, you've got the right pieces in place. Our first guest is going to be one of the 3 F's. He had a great experience. It was his dad. I'm going to let him tell more about that. But the other guest, Todd, he had a horrible experience with an angel investor. And that's where we came up with the idea that angels aren't really necessarily angels. But the inventor will be better prepared if they know which category they're looking at and what they need to take to each one.
Well, I'm going to back it up just for a second. Last night on the History Channel, I was late in the evening. They do, foods that made America, and they had a segment last night, the Peanut Butter Wars in 1920, and it reminded me because of a licensing deal that the original Peter Pan peanut butter had with that food company in Chicago, and they really could not go against the big Heinz company, because people remember Heinz, obviously think of Heinz as the ketchup, but they don't realize in the 20s, Heinz was the biggest peanut butter distributor in the U.S. So I bring that up because it kind of reminds what we're talking about. Here's this poor guy trying to fight big, Heinz, and so he got a licensing deal, because he came up with this creamy peanut butter that really was easy to spread on bread, where at the time Heinz was a rough, he would tear the bread up. But the point I'm trying to make is that, he knew he couldn't do it alone, so he went to a food company and picked up a licensing deal, and the rest is history, because Peter Pan became so huge that he ended up buying the food company. Yeah. So let's talk about that. And I know we're going to have our first guest, and I thought I'd drop that on because when they mentioned license deal, it got my attention, So, hey, we're going to take a short break. Got to pay some bills. Please visit our website at hometalkusa.com. You're listening to the Invent America part of our show here on the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. Always support your local independent hardware stores and garden centers. And let's pledge to hire a vet today. I'm the Cajun man from the Bayou Land, the originator. Not the duplicator. Please don't accept no substitutions. Man, I was green before green was even cool. Me and Rita Crompton, the Inventor Lady, is going to be right back. Yay!
USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HometalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HometalkUSA.com. And now, back to Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yahee! Welcome, America, back to the Invent America radio show, along with my co-host, the Inventor Lady herself, Rita Crompton. Again, I want to mention this milestone. We're at 1,020. Well, Home Talk USA is at 1,027th episode. I think around November, Rita, we will be the longest running home improvement show in the country. The last, the two shows that took over, that started before my show, are no longer broadcasting anymore. So, hey, that's going to be a tremendous milestone, and I think it's going to happen around November.
That sounds exciting. We're going to have to celebrate.
Oh, yeah, we're going to celebrate. I can't wait to Las Vegas next year at the hardware show, that big house you promised me. You know, that's what I'm waiting for.
I know, right?
Well, you said you got a chef and you got to cook.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting
got to do
for
it right.
But, hey, who's our guest? Who's our guest?
Our first guest today is David Streen, and he is the inventor of Wedge Light. Now, I met Dave through our good friend Michael Miller. So, Dave, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you guys for having me, and congrats on the long-running show. That's amazing.
So tell us about Wedge Light, and then we've got a specific topic we're talking about today, and you've had some experience in that.
Yeah. So Wedge Light's my newest invention, and it's made for the automotive dent repair industry, where we wedge windows open to get to look down in the door. But we actually designed it for many other industries as well. Locksmiths will be able to use it, and security guards and stuff like that. So we're really excited about that product, and it was the most difficult one that my team's brought to market. So a lot of lessons that we captured there. Thank you.
Well, and so today our topic is the money issue. A lot of inventors at one point or another during the process will get into, it's like, oh my goodness, how am I going to pay the next bill? And so, we always look, David, Michael and I were laughing at the beginning. It's like the 3 Fs, friends, families, and other fools. And so you were on the fortunate side, because that is actually the easiest group to deal with, that you were able to get somebody in the 3 Fs category. Tell us a little bit about, how you managed that and how it went for you.
So, based on money, I kind of have a different aspect than most people do on it. A lot of people think money solves all the problems, and to me, it brings on and amplifies them. So I was lucky enough, like you said, my dad would always back me, and he'd catch me if I fell too hard or anything like that. But I always tried to fund my growth from the existing business versus always seeking outside. And looking back, it was a good thing, because I was a bit of a mess. I was one of the guys that jumped in the ring and figured it out as you go along. And so I was putting out a lot of fires all the time. And if you add a lot of capital to a system like that, you have a forest fire. And so now that I'm about 8 years into this, and I've got some really good systems and processes in place, and it's kind of a well-oiled machine, now it makes sense to dump some more money, into it and make it go faster, if that makes sense.
Well, and I appreciate what you say, because I have a lot of inventors who will say, all right, I've got 3 or 4 ideas, and it's like, which one should we pick? And it's the one that, we can do the easiest, the fastest, and have it fund some of the other things. So, where you learned your lessons then with the money, I think it's a really valuable one, that you were able to, put out all the fires, because everybody's got fires, and then you move forward with the next things that are going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, where are you now, and what's your next step? Because you said you've got lots of products.
Yeah, and I got up to about 100 products, and actually I've been going the other way this year and actually eliminating some of the SKUs and simplifying everything, not only for me and my operations, but for the customer to be able to shop and find what they're looking for. And so that's actually discontinuing some items and shrinking down my SKU list.
So where are you selling?
Grow better and faster. So I sell most of it on my own and in my Amazon, on my own website, edgytools.com, as well as on my Amazon store.
Okay.
So.
You want to become a sponsor for Invent America and sell them through here?
Yes, I do. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. That'll be exciting.
Now everybody out there in America is going to hold you accountable for that.
Man, hey, Rita, that got my attention quick.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and I have distributors all over the world that help me move my products and stuff. So it's been a growing process of learning how to do that. That's, you would think, hey, you're doing the same thing selling the tools, but now when I do a pricing strategy, that makes sense for me, for my distributors, as well as for the end user. So it's added a level of complexity into that. And one of the other things that you've done now is your lessons that you have learned, you're willing to share those, and you wrote a book. Yes, I did, yeah. It's called Invent to Get Rich. Yeah,
I like
Invent
that.
To Get Rich. And it's the number 2, not T-O. So, all
right.
And they can. I'll give you guys a special gift. If they go to freeinventbook.com, I'm giving away for free there. They can just go instantly download it or order a paper copy.
Well, you need to send me that link so that I can go ahead and get it posted on the website for you. And because, you know, one of the things that we're always looking at is getting inventors the good information. And so many inventors do exactly what you did, is for, you know, kind of that knee-jerk reaction constantly, and then they get into trouble, and they don't have one of the 3 Fs to help bail them out or to, you know, stop the boat from tipping over. And what we want to be able to do is provide the good information sooner so that we have fewer of them tipping over. But then as you are learning from the process, how do you distill that? How do you take what you learn from one product and put it into the next product so that it's an easier flow?
Yeah, know your numbers.
Hey, Dave?
Yeah.
We got to run. I thank you so much. We got to take a short break.
Thank you.
Got to pay some bills. Hey, but give us that website and tell us a little bit about the book and what's your website?
Okay, so they can go to freeinventbook.com.
Okay, now what about your
trying to put the simple steps that I learned the hard way.
All right, now what about your regular website?
That's edgytools.com.
And just spell it out.
Yeah, EDGYTOOLS.com.
Well, Dave, I got a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot from you. I think you're going to be a part of this show for a long time. So I really commend you. I've been doing this a long, long time, and I really commend you helping out. Because it would be a shame that if we can have a great technology that can really change our lives, but it's never going to get to market because of the stumbling blocks, is what I'm saying.
Yep,
so
exactly.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Oh,
all right,
thanks, Dave.
Have a wonderful day. Yep, thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Welcome back to Home Talk USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HomeTalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
All right, welcome back to the only home improvement show dedicated to you, the American consumer. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. If you'd like to watch our television show, it's at HomeTalkTV.com, HomeTalkTV.com. And, all right, Rita, who we got on the show?
Well, our next guest is Todd Deetsch, and Todd invented NeckGuard. It's a revolutionary ergonomic safety device designed to reduce the neck strain for any contractor doing overhead work. And the reason he came up with it was because he was one of those guys that was doing, really dangerous and stressful, painful overhead work. So Todd came up with, NeckGuard, and whereas our first guest had the good experience of dealing with the 3F, Todd had the opposite experience of dealing with an investor, and we won't call them angels, will we, Todd?
No.
All right. Tell us about NeckGuard, and then we'll get into the difficult part.
Well, like you said, NeckGuard's a new ergonomic device designed for any contractor doing overhead work. I came up with this design because I work as a decorative artist, and I'm often required to do really painful overhead work like gold leafing a ceiling or doing murals or doing some type of faux finish on the ceiling. So it's very painful work for any amount of time. And I've talked to painters who have been painting for 30 years, and they said the thing about overhead work is that you never get used to it. You don't build up an endurance to it. And it actually gets worse as you get older because the discs start thinning in your neck, and you take longer to recover. And an injury when you're older can be detrimental to your career if it doesn't end it. So
right.
I came
and
up
the cool thing with The cool thing with NeckGuard is that you developed one that is for all of the electrical workers as well. So when you see somebody out there on, one of those big telephone pole stands, then you're thinking, oh, man, he really needs the NeckGuard. But
it's very interesting because that was something that was totally unexpected. We found this cross-market in the electrical utility industry, and we met so many linemen and so many supervisors who were put out of a career because they were looking up. There's a spotter on the ground that looks up and is orchestrating everything. And these guys are looking up for 8 hours a day to make sure no one gets electrocuted or no one gets hurt, make sure they have the supplies they need. And we met people that had 2 and 3 surgeries. One guy, they laid him out in the lawn chair just to get him across the line to retirement. But he had 3 neck surgeries. And so everybody was very excited about this new product.
Yeah. So your experience, though, with your investor, and we'll leave the adjectives off, was not a good one. Tell us what happened.
Okay, so I have another product I developed called the PRO-PAP pillow. It's a side sleeper pillow for CPAP patients that are struggling with CPAP compliance. And I developed this out of my own need. So I won the Vote Award here in Louisville. It's a very prestigious business award. I won $15,000, and I caught the attention of this big shark who had taken all these companies here in Louisville Public. And so he really liked the idea, promised me $25,000. He said, I want you to run the company. I'm only buying 10%. But you're going to run it. You'll have access to all my expertise and everything. And I was like, great. Everybody was congratulating me in the business incubators, saying, you've hit a home run. This is phenomenal. You're teamed up with a great guy. And while he did buy only 10% of the company, he bought the A shares of the company, which were the voting shares, which meant that I had no voice. I owned 90% of a company that I had no say in. So it was like a bait and switch, and I was talking to a friend of mine who knew this guy. He was a businessman, and he said this investor was very skilled, and he had what was called ratchet clauses in the contract. And I didn't even know what those were. I had some friends who didn't even know what they were that were very skilled in business. But I found out that it's basically that he agrees to buy the stock at a certain price, certain amount of stock at a certain price. If the stock ends up going down, then I have to supply the remainder of the stock to make him whole again. And I was thinking, oh, my God, what have I gotten myself into? This is an absolute nightmare. So I did everything I could to get out of this contract, and I did, but he ended up sticking me with all the debt. And, this has been 10 years. I'm still fighting the consequences of that decision. So,
And that's why we joke about an angel investor becoming, a vulture. And, I know that people have had good experiences, but you've got to be so careful. So when I get an inventor that says, well, I'm going to go find an angel investor, it's like, slow down a little bit and let's take this, what are the options? Because it could be tough. I mean, you had a second experience that was bad.
Well, I did. This time I learned from my mistake, and this guy really likes NetGuard, wanted to invest in it, and he's got a lot of connections. I know we could do a great job, but he wanted a small percentage of the company too, wanted to sell the product, make a high commission, and I was like, that's great. Let's work it out. Well, now when he saw the potential of this thing, he started getting greedy, and now he wants 51%. And I said, there's no way. And he said, then go find someone else who will put up the money you need. And I told him, well, go find someone else who has an ARC-rated product like this that's proven to work and see how many people you come up with. So already we're starting to bicker, and, it only gets worse from here is my experience. So I passed on this, and so I'm looking at other sources.
Yep. Well, we'll get it licensed. This is one that I really believe in. So we're going to take a break for some commercials here and take care of our bills. And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Great guest. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. As the Inventor Lady said, she's my backup plan, And we're going to take a short break. We come back and we're going to be wrapping up, me and Rita, the next segment, and we're going to be talking about some breaking news. So stay tuned right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. You're listening to the Invent America Show right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network. Yay! We're going to be right back.
USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HomeTalkUSA.com. One of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country, Home Talk USA, with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
All right, welcome back to the only home improvement show dedicated to you, the American consumer. Don't forget, we are streaming live on the World Wide Web at the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. We always invite you to check out our television show. We have 61 episodes online for you at HomeTalkUSA.com. And this week's episode is Matthew DeGrand. He is with Aztec Washer, so you can check out his episode sitting right there. And I hope in the future we can have some Invent America guests that will fill up some of these episodes on television. So we got to work on that, Rita. We got to get some people on TV.
Oh, it sounds like a good idea to me, and I think some of them are probably ready for it.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I wanted to be able to give some folks the kind of the bullet points of what they're going after when they're looking for money. Most inventors don't have the full budget when they start going and they work their day job to be able to, take care of the cost of getting a product to the marketplace. The 3 F's, the friends, families, and other fools, they're the easiest to deal with because they're usually investing in you, not as much in your product. And so that's a good thing. They're easier to work with. You trust them. And, I always laugh and say, now you need to be kind of careful with anybody that could have an X in front of their name, ex-father-in-law, brother-in-law, anything like that, because then they want to come after you. But, they're just easier, more pleasant. They're looking for you to be successful. When you step out of that sandbox and you go into someone that is considered an investor, first of all, they want that intellectual property filed. And so when I get somebody who says, well, I want to find an investor to help me pay for the patent, they're not going to do that. They want to know that you can file a patent successfully before they invest. And if you really think about it from their point of view, you can understand that. So there's certain things that need to be teed up before you can talk to an investor. Todd had those things done before he talked to the investor, and he still felt like he was taken advantage of by the investor. So you have to be really careful. It's easier if you are presenting the contract. So if one of our attorneys does the contract for the investor, for you and the investor, it will read better for you. And it's tough to see in between the lines on some of those contracts that these they're skilled at what they do. When they present it to you, you have to have somebody that can really read between the lines for you.
Well, that's very well said. And at the end of the day, I still think of Shark Tank. And basically that's what Shark Tank really is. A whole bunch of investors that's sitting on a panel. What's the advantage of that situation is that they don't have to go out there and hustle. All the products come to them and they can pick and choose. But this is rare, to have that happening, where most of the inventors have to do the step by step and to whatever they got that level, and then all of a sudden, you lose if you go to Shark Tank route, you might lose everything.
Yeah. Right. We've got two shows that are going to be coming up over the next few months. One is about Shark Tank, and one is about crowdfunding, different topics about money. Yeah. We've got an exciting announcement, and I'm only going to give the teaser. The USPTO is starting a new program, and so people need to stay tuned if they're going to find out what that is.
Well, I was introduced 4 or 5 years ago to crowdfunding, and I didn't even know what that was. I had to pretend that I knew what it was because I didn't want to make myself look like I didn't know what I was doing. But what is crowdfunding? So I'm glad we're gonna do that show, because crowdfunding. We're gonna break it down. Crowdfunding has really helped young inventors, and it serves a real good purpose. And so I'm glad we're going to talk about that also, But
we've got some great topics coming up. I'm real excited. Meeting new inventors at all stages that will be on and be our guests, so that they're giving them a bandwidth of experience. And a lot of them will come to the Inventor Roundtable meetings. So if you're out there and you're listening, but you want to be able to participate with a call-in, a question, you can come to the Inventor Roundtable meetings and join inventors from across the country at all stages, free. And you can ask your questions. It's wonderful.
Well, Rita, we got to step away one more time. Got to pay some bills. Don't go nowhere. I am the Cajun contractor, Michael King. You're listening to the Invent America show, part of the Home Talk USA radio family, along with my co-host, the Inventor Lady herself, Rita Crompton. We're going to talk short break. We got some breaking news coming up. So stay with us right here on the Genesis Communication Radio Network at GCNlive.com. Yay!
USA with Michael King. Do you have questions about your next home improvement project or home repairs? Now you can chat with verified home repair and home improvement experts in just minutes. Get the help you need by visiting HometalkUSA.com. one of the best resources for home improvement information around today. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com. And now, back to Invent America from the #1 home improvement radio program in the country. Home Talk USA with your host, the Cajun contractor Michael King, and his co-host, the Inventor Lady, Rita Crompton.
Yay! Welcome back right here on the Home Improvement Broadcasting Network, along with my co-host, the Inventor Lady herself. Rita, I tell you, what we're trying to do right now is provide that blueprint. You keep hearing me say that blueprint. You know the advantage that you have by listening to this show that can walk you through the steps by steps that you need so you can kind of prevent the mistakes that happen. And where mistakes happen, that's where the cost of poker really goes up.
Yes, definitely. And people can go in now, if they're at the very beginning, they can pick those episodes that we've done that are for the beginner. If they're in the middle, if they're looking for a particular topic they need some answers to, they can see the topics listed. So we've got a good library now. All
right, we got to run. We're up against the clock. Thank all of you for listening. Hey, Rita, get your website in. How can we learn more about you?
InventorLady.com.
All right. Till next week, on behalf of the Inventor Lady herself and the Cajun man, ça c'est le bon temps roulé. Let the good times roll right here on the Genesis Communication Radio Network. Yay!
Home Talk USA with Michael King is produced by Home Talk Media in association with King's Broadcasting Network and Genesis Communications Network. Broadcast and streamed live from the great state of Louisiana. Host and producer, the Cajun contractor, Michael King. Executive producer, Michael Mellinson. Affiliate and sponsor relations, Joe Spera. Comptroller, Sheila Gregoire. Assistant producer, Christian Bethencourt. Board operators provided by Genesis Communications Network. And I'm your announcer, Kevin McCarthy. Music includes King's Creole by Prolific Arts, Cajun Jam by StockMusic.com, and Zydeco City by Steve Rice. Home Talk USA with Michael King is sponsored by Bonide, pest solutions for your home, garden, and lawn. Decorators, take outdoor living beyond ordinary. Aztec Washer, innovative roofing solutions. Seal it right, seal it tight. Trimislab, replace rotten or missing wood with Trimislab expansion joint repair. Masonry Cosmetics, change the color of any porous masonry with proven masonry staining. Green Products Company, #1 in wood preservatives. Preserve, protect, and clean what you value, and most of all, make it last. Bond Products, manufacturers of Instabind, the world's first do-it-yourself carpet binding solution. Deck Right, life is tough. Make your exterior flooring tougher. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Home Talk USA with Michael King. Until next time, visit us at HomeTalkUSA.com. Your best life begins with your best home, and there's no place like Home Talk. That's HomeTalkUSA.com.
Yay!